Hey folks, this is Brian. This one will probably be a bit on the longer side. Some background things kind of going on. Obviously, with the virus hitting around, things have changed. My son is home from school, and of course, he doesn't want to do anything. Started during spring break for him, so he's like, "Oh, this is an extended spring break," and now they've canceled school for the rest of the year. And he just got an Xbox because his band trip to Disneyland got canceled. So we took that $500 and pumped it into an Xbox with peripherals. So obviously we don't want him just wasting every day sitting on the couch playing Xbox. We, build him a schedule. And I keep getting out there and hammering on getting his things done because I'm working from home. I do like data processing kind of stuff and records maintenance that I can do online. I've got a laptop from work that I use. And so I'm home trying to do work, and he's home trying to play all day. And my wife does tax preparation. And so even though the tax deadline has been extended, that doesn't really do much for them because they've got a clientele that, his policy, the guy she works for, his policy is if you get it in by April whatever, we'll have it, or not April, March whatever, then we'll have it done by April 15th. And so they're trying to do that. One of the ladies that works there has a compromised immune system, so she's not coming to work because of the virus. They had another lady quit on them earlier in the year. Her boss isn't necessarily the easiest guy to work with. And so it's just the two of them, him, the CPA, and her, the, not consultant, tax preparer. And she loves doing that, but she doesn't like, office work, not office work, but answering the phones, greeting the clients, front office kind of stuff. She wants to do her numbers. And so she's stressing, trying to keep everything together. And when they've had people there working with them, they realize that she's holding the whole office together. And it's just been too much for her this year. And I've told her, go ahead and tell her boss, hey, this is her last year. He's getting along in years and he's got some health issues going on too. So I'm thinking he should probably just retire. But c'est la vie. So all this stress. On top of all of that, I started my doctor program, doctor in education. And so this first week, I finished my master's thesis in 2012. So it's been 8 years since I've done any actual, reading for interpretation. And well, this first week we're working. This is the second week now. We're working on identifying a problem, and it's just been stressing me out so much that I have not been able to do much of anything. On top of that, one of my good friends in the Marine Corps who's also a Marine, the Marine Corps, who's also a Mormon. His son committed suicide on Saturday last week, and his funeral was on Thursday, and it's just been one thing after another after another. On top of all of that, my son wants to play, and anything. He's willing to play anything. He just wants to play. And a group of guys at church, we had a group was playing D&D for a while. I did get them together to roll characters for RuneQuest and do this intro scenario that Todd put together, Todd Chaosium put together about initiation, right? So you go through your initiation process and you come back. You've got one rune point, so you don't have to worry about all these spells, although you still do because you like all the commons, right? And I think it gives you, in the scenario, 3 points of spirit magic. In my interpretation, it'd only be 1 point spirit magic, but whatever. But you come back out of the hero questing for your initiation, and your village is under attack by brew. So it's a real quick intro to fighting and that kind of stuff, which is a minimal amount of magic. And then there's some aunts and uncles that are fighting like a Wakatapas. So you can see some massive use of rune magic on that side, and the severity of critical damage. One of the guys gets his head cut by the Wakatapas tentacle, crushes his head. Oh, good times. But I ran that with them just to give them a flavor for it. And that was like a month and a half ago, and I've not been able to get them back together since. And so my son's just, can you just play for me, my friends? So we got a couple of his friends. One of his friends, Joe, who was one of my scouts, was on a mission for our church in France. But when the virus hit, he's got a compromised immune system as well. He's got like asthma or something. So they, sent him home. So he's been home, but he's still in, the 14-day quarantine. So he's actually been Skyping into our dining room table as my son and one of his friends is there with me, playing. So we spent the first session just doing rolling up characters. My intent with them is to run them through all of the uh, convention scenarios that I have, and I've got plenty of them. So that'd be enough to keep them going. So right now we're in the middle. Yeah, we're around the middle of the quick start. They just ran into the rock lizards when we had to stop, and so sucking up more of my time, and of course not wanting or feeling inadequate in my research skills for my class. Anything I do to put things off has been, putting things off, and it's just been stressful, I guess. But we did get my group together last night to play. It's our regular in on schedule game, and one of my players had emailed whatever that he was going to end up being late. That's okay. We started at 8:30 here on the East Coast. He got in about 9. So when at 8:30, I put the call out on Discord. Oh, earlier in the day, I was connecting my host computer with my laptop, and because of this online course I've got, I had this old laptop that's got like no memory, so you can't even update Windows 10 on it. And I bought this stick thing you can see on TV advertisements about you plug it in and it takes over the operating system and runs itself, so it's much faster. It actually worked fairly decently, but I could not keep multiple things up. If I was running a video in the background, listening to an online presentation, I'm trying to look for something else. There was processing issues, so I got rid of that. I took one of my my old host computer. I pulled down to make that my, because it used to be my school laptop. To make that my school laptop. So it swapped places, and there's some software issues I had to run through with that. And I took my son's old laptop and set it up as the host computer. It's Windows 7. So Windows comes out with a notice the other day. We no longer support Windows 7. So you will no longer get security updates. You will only get this. You won't have that. Oh, really? Seriously? Is that really going to be a problem for me? I don't think so, because the only thing I use that for is to host a Discord meeting once every couple of weeks. Shouldn't be an issue. But I ran into a problem. Oh, my work laptop has K9 on it because I gave it to my son to use. And K9 is one of these parental security things. It doesn't allow certain stuff to happen. And one of the things it does not allow to happen are one of the video features of my classroom this week that I was supposed to watch. Okay, so I can't use that for my my class. So I'm going to use my laptop for class. And I ended up putting my laptop back in as my machine for my game. I tried to actually pull it out so I would have to up and down, plug in and unplug everywhere, as I'm using my machine for a half dozen different things. But I'm back to that. But I think what I'm going to do is just I'll work on things down here. So anyway, after a half dozen different configurations of my game computer and monitor setups, because the monitor I had initially here at the table, which is what I throw my I have my Discord off on that, so I'm showing a full picture of the map camera, and that kind of thing. And that's what I'm doing my screen capture off of. And I've got my screen for looking for things and doing stuff. Although for some reason my video capture software has some kind of conflict with PDFs, of all things. So if I've got my capture software running and I try to pull up a PDF, everything just kind of freezes up. You can't win. I'm cheap. I'm trying to do things on the free side. Anyway, so I had to switch monitors around because the monitor I initially had here was so old that even with a VGA to HDMI converter, it wouldn't work. But it did for my older laptop. What's up with that? Anyway, so I had to swap monitors around, and one of the monitors I use is actual TV, is a little 17-inch TV that I had when I was company commander. Keep my eye on the news, that kind of thing. And but obviously it's a TV, so it's got its own sound. My laptop has its sound. I'm trying to connect up my headphones with mic, and when I was practicing with my old now new, or new now old, my previous host computer is back to being my host computer, and trying to just doing Discord between the two of us, just make sure things working, the sound's working. I'm getting a video capture with my software. Sorry. Discord wouldn't connect. Well, that's not correct. My host computer was having connection pipeline routing issues, whatever it's called. So it's red the whole time. Trying to connect, disconnect. Trying to connect, disconnect. I'm going, what's going on? But my laptop, I had a green, video line, no problem. So I was really stressing because the last week when we played, Discord was not happy. I'm guessing it's just a huge amount of traffic they now have with everybody home. So I was concerned about that. So I started looking around. I've got Zoom. It turns out a couple of my players have got Zoom. The free Zoom will last for 40 minutes, so we'd have to take a break every 40 minutes just to log back in, kind of thing. So I just kind of thinking that back in my head. I posted the link out to my my players on my Facebook chat thing, and they connected up, 2 of them. So I kept that back pocket just in case there are issues with the game, but there weren't. The video for Discord was spot on last night. We did have some camera light rolling wave issues to begin with, but it eventually cleared up. My camera's also, it's a whatever, those clip-on webcam thing, so not a whole lot of control on that, so there's not much I can do about it. But it eventually cleared up, and it was no issues with audio or video last night. Discord kicked butt last night, which is great for a Friday night, I thought. So anyway, kudos to them. Okay, finally, to the game. Holy cow, it's only 13 minutes. Okay, the party last time had finished up their massive slog fest back in one of the temple areas, and two of the PCs are unconscious. They're nearly scared to death by the darkness elemental. So it'll take about half an hour for those guys to wake up. So all the room match is going to run out. So my understanding was they weren't going to press forward. They went to the bottom of the stairwell that came down into here to wait for these guys to wake up. And my understanding was they were going to go ahead and leave. I mean, they burned all but I think 2 guys have got room points now, and at least one of them has used at least 1 for cure wounds. They burned through their power storage crystals. They've all burned through their own magic, because after they healed everybody up, they did repair on their weapons and shields and stuff. So they're pretty much depleted. So they get at the end of the last session, they got to the bottom of the stairs, and they're kind of talking things. Okay, we go through, we clean out the rest of the temple, and we go home. Not quite so easy, because there are still guys down here. Not many, but there still are a couple guys down here. So we start off the session. Oh, and when they said that, I started, okay, it's going to take a half an hour for these guys to wake up. How many random encounters do we have? And sure enough, we have an encounter. And the encounter is a band of these, well, this particular encounter was a group of escaped slaves, 3 of them. And these happened to be being chased by a party of brute, 4 of them. So they came from the other side, the main entrance, right? Slaves are escaping, and I happen to know what the escape path is, so that's what they had to have done. Now, I have to admit, in order for them to escape from where they were, they'd have to bypass like 8 brew with bows. So, remember, I took a D&D module, and I'm adjusting it, right? But one of these, is that making sense? Anyway, escape slaves, being chased by brew. So the slaves get out on top. They start running around, and they see that black building, and figure maybe we can hide in there. So they go in and hide. Hey, there's stairs going down. So they start tiptoeing down the stairs. Well, the party's at the bottom of the stairs. There's light shining through because it's mid morning, and then there's people walking down the stairs. So there's shadows and stuff going on. Arrestor makes her scan roll, so she sees, hey, there's somebody coming down here. And so they kind of shuffle around, and there was some confusion on which end of the hallway was the front, towards the stairs or away from the stairs. But by the time an encounter came down the stairs, they were able to adjust to actually how I thought they were. The front was towards the stairs. So they set up, and they're waiting for what happens. But as the slaves, they don't know they're slaves. There's nothing coming down, right? But when the slaves get about halfway down, the brew come into the building and start coming down the stairs. And so at that point, they'll kind of and run. And so the party hears not screaming, but some kind of breath intake kind of deal. It's very loud, and feet coming down the stairs. And so they prep up. Slaves get down to the bottom turn. There's just party people with weapons, and they're going to attack. Arrestor holds her attack. I think she was going to try to do something. I remember right now. Anyway, the slaves go, drop their knees. Save us! Save us! Save us! I think they ask who's chasing them. The brew. And so the party kind of lets them filter through behind him, and then they get back on the rope bridge and actually turn around the corner. So they're trying to hide out of the way, kind of thing. The party kind of situates themselves. The brew come down, turn the corner, and there's kind of a hex and a half, hex and a third kind of thing at the bottom there. So he's taking up pretty much the intersection. Arrestor moves into that. It was a half hex. Moves into that half hex. Now, I had been playing, if you're in half a hex, your movement's restricted, and so you're at half percentages to hit, right? I did not apply that to her, and afterwards I was thinking through this stuff again. Combat in RuneQuest is fluid enough, because they talk about firing into melee, right? Melee combat, people are moving around. If you fire in, you may not hit the guy you want. And if they're just in these 2 hexes, sticking it out like boxers, that wouldn't necessarily make a lot of sense, which is the way that Fantasy Trip does, by the way. So there is some fluidity on where people really are with respect to this. So that may have some issues with my facing and stuff, but what I decided was that I'm not going to give her this restriction anymore. I'm not going to give anybody restriction anymore. You can stay on half a hex just like it was a full hex, because we are kind of shifting around and that kind of thing. So anyway, so she moves to the bottom of the stairs to the back against the wall. Lars moved up, but before he moved up, he was using. Before he moved, Lars had grabbed his spear, was there with his spear. He's doing a 2 hex jab, but he's in half a hex and he's jabbing right past her. So I gave him a half percentage because essentially she's in the way. We also talked about a handful of my own personal house rules that I've been developing that I want to implement. And the first one, which isn't really a house rule, it's a RuneQuest 3 Avalon Hill rule, is hit locations for thrusting weapons and missiles and spells. Disruption is the only spell you have that you throw, right? Which centers on center mass, which is the only thing that makes any sense to me. I don't know why RQG didn't keep the 2, unless it was some kind of Avalon Hill trademark or copyright on that chart. But anyway, so we incorporated that this game, and we'll do that for the rest. There are a couple of other things. And I talked about this last game. Between 0 and negative, your healing rate is just your 0. You're unconscious, and you don't have to go unconscious until you hit 0. You know, that kind of thing. And there were a couple more. And one that I forgot was damage bonus for two-handed weapons. And if you want to do an experiment, grab a stick, go in your backyard, and hit a tree. Bam! Now take that stick, hold it with both hands, and hit that tree. And you don't and tell me whether or not there's a difference in damage. There is. So my concept, again, I use with the fancy trip because fancy trip goes off your strength. So I give if you're using a weapon with two hands, you have to gain your strength for determining the damage kind of thing. But there's too much math to do that in RuneQuest. So, and I didn't want to just double your damage bonus because that gets way out of whack with like dark trolls and stuff, right? So I just bump it up one step. So if you have no damage bonus and you're using that battle axe with two hands because you can't use it one-handed, that bumps you from 0 to plus 1d4. If you do have the strength to use that battle axe, and you decide to use two-handed instead of one-handed, your damage bonus is probably already 1d4. It would bump up to 1d6. Or if it is 1d6, it goes to 2. So it's kind of significant at that point. I did not discuss that with them because I could not remember it. I remember that this morning. The things you wake up with in your mind, right? Okay, so he's doing that 2-hex jab, and that's what got me thinking about that is underhand. I can definitely see the extra damage bonus. Overhand, maybe. I don't know. But I'll have it apply anyway. Just keep it simple. But he's doing 2-hex jab past the Restra at the brew. They're fighting. The Restra does a shift. Lars moves up. Well, drops a spear, moves up, sword and shield. There's some fighting. Lars critically parries a fumble on the brew. The critical parry breaks his heavy mace. And yeah, these brew aren't using clubs, and they've got armor. And the fumble is hit self. He ended up hitting himself in the head. So, Bruce parries against the heavy mace. That mace head flies off and hits him in the head. And does enough damage to put him at 0 in the head. So he's out. The next Bruce steps up. There's some more fighting going on. So all this fighting is going on in the front end, right? What's going on in the back end? You've got my two non-fighters. There's Ulfgar, the merchant guy. He's singing some poetry to keep everybody's faith bolstered up, so that there's any kind of morale type roll I'd have, they would get I'd have him roll for a bonus kind of thing for them. And Subatai's back there too because he's got no armor and he's got his bow. Actually, he's got sword and shield out initially, and then there's the 3 slaves right on the rope bridge. So Wolfgar, in between all this combat going on, is trying to get some information out of the slaves. Find out, they're slaves. They were captured by the brew. There's one more thing I was going to tell him, but then other things started happening about them being, from deep underground. Meanwhile, the player for Subutai is obviously not having a great time because they're just in back watching. Further down this hallway, past after the rope bridge, there's these double doors and there's a T intersection. So they're watching to make sure nobody doesn't come around. And he's making a little comment about, do I see anything? And he talks to Lars. Hey, Lars, you want to pull back? How are you? I'll move in and take your place, kind of thing. Because he wants to roll dice. He wants to play, and I understand that. So I pull a couple of guys from back there, and they come around. And at one point, I had them. My plan was to have them stage the end of this rope bridge, so when they came down the hallway, they'd be shooting down at them, and then top the rope bridge and leave them abandoned out there. But for a number of the reasons, I decided not to do that. So, but I've got the sheets all set up for that. So The guy steps out, starts firing his composite bow, and sure enough, nails Subutai. Does some significant damage. His first 3 shots all did 8 points of damage. And they don't have a lot of armor back there. Subutai's character's actually kind of weak, well, average. He's 9. Right? Not strong. He's not strong. So he doesn't have a lot of armor because his encumbrance is already almost maxed out. So he gets nailed in, I think it was the arm. And then, I thought it might have been one of his legs. But then Wolfgar gets hit with 1. Subutai changes weapons to get his bow out and is able to fire down. Wolfgar gets hit in the leg and goes down. He pulls his shield out to cover himself up. They have Borak take off down the hallway to engage the bowman. But before that happens, Subutai gets again an impale to the leg. Puts him down. I think puts him to 0 hit points. If you're not a fighter guy, don't get in a fight. And in Runequest, people can die. Now, I'm actually surprised that I haven't lost any characters yet. I thought for sure I was going to lose Lars last session with that headshot that brought him to 0, but there was enough healing and stuff going on that he was able to get back up. Man, that was close. Unfortunately, all the weirdo instant kill kind of things happen with the bad guys. Now, I will say, this is a darkness, well, it's darkness, chaos, and death, temple, right? So these guys, their cult doesn't have healing magic, and most of the bad guys I have running don't have healing or somebody in the party who can heal. Although the one priestess was able to heal, so if she would have been further forward, maybe she could have done some more mitigation of damage and that kind of thing. So as soon as an enemy goes to 0, he's essentially out of the game. You don't need to worry about him anymore. If a player goes to 0, there's still other players who can help heal him and bring him up. Plus, they've got that healing matrix, so you don't even need to know the spell. Was it maybe too much? I don't know. I kind of run my world with guidance, but a random severity. We'll see. Anyway, so Subutai is down. Wolfgar's down. He's trying to do first aid on his leg. He's going to be out for 5 melee rounds, wrapping himself up. But while all this is going on in the back, and Borak's running down there, he gets shot at a couple times. He does get hit in the arm, I think it is, possibly a leg for just a few points of damage. Excuse me, my goodness. Up front with the brew, brew number 2 does a fumble and is distracted, so everybody gets a plus 25 to hit him. And there's Ingral at this point has moved up, grabbed Lars' spear, so he's doing a spear jab. Plus you got Lars and you got Restos. So there's 3 attacks around on this brew. He's going to go down, right? And with his plus 25, they pretty much take him out. And once they take, I think Restos actually did a decent hit or something. So she, raises her bloody axe and does some kind of war cry and wants to intimidate the other brew. So she uses her. Oh, we had some discussion about death runes. She want to use her death rune to augment her axe, her fighting. Because she's inflicting death, and that pops up all the time. If you look at anybody, not all the time, but a lot of the time, if you watch people who are playing RuneQuest for the first time online, they use the death rune to kill. It's not like that. But if you want to be ruthless or reckless, that's death rune, right? So when she first started to invoke her, okay, you can do that for these 2 things, so that if, for example, someone were to cast Demoralize or Befuddle on you, you could use your Relentlessness roll to inspire your resistance to that. I have no problem with that. There's some back and forth in the book about reading through and how it's understood and that kind of thing. Which reminds me, there is no live play. I had tech issues last night with my audio and the screen capture. I'll try and figure it out. But she does an inspiration, or death rune inspiration on her intimidation to the other brew. She gets inspired. She makes her roll. She's successful. The brew are down by half. Successful intimidation. Okay, they're going to turn and run. So they take off and run. At that point, the rest of the party then turns and heads down because they know there's something going on down there. So they come down to the end. At that point, the bowman has stepped back, and there's a sword and shield guy, fighter who moved up and intercepted Borak. So he's got Borak tied up, and then the bowman's back, still firing. Lars gets up there to engage. They have Borak shift around. Borak didn't want to shift earlier because then he'd have his back to the bowman. But Borak shifts. They did some healing on Subutai. He's going to be coming down here in a minute. And then Angrelar is assisting Wolfgar on his first leg. So Borak shifts. Lars moves in. Subutai comes around the corner because Subutai wants to kill that bowman. There was supposed to be a free shot. I never took it because Subutai just ran by the fighter to engage the bowman. When he does that, the bowman, I give him a last shot. I mean, he had his bow ready, last shot. But now, what's he going to do? He's got to change weapons or parry with his bow or something, right? Or use a club maybe. This guy's got fanaticism going. So there's a question on how much thinking is going on, but he's going to attack. He wants to kill this guy, but he's up on his face, so he drops his bow and pulls his sword. I have no problem with that. Actually, sword and shield kind of thing. But anyway, so he readies weapon. He changes. He gets last shot, and then he spends the rest of the round changing weapons. Subutai gets up, does an attack. I think by the time he was able to attack, it was made the round far enough that the shield was out. I don't remember it offhand. This guy is fast, by the way. And so Borak and Lars take out the fighter. Subutai gets hit by the fighter, goes down again. And the bowman drops his sword, grabs his bow. He's going to start shooting at the guys that are fighting his fighter. He's got bow on the brain. And I think he's able to. Because at that point, I think they put the fighter down. They come around. At this point, I think a Restra's come back because she was watching, make sure that the brew did leave. But Lars moves to engage. He gets a last shot. Lars is wearing plate, so it doesn't really matter. And then at that point, because they've been shooting, remember, Subutai shot some arrows down there. They hit him a couple times already in the chest and the abdomen. So he's really low on hit points. Lars hits him. It may have been a slash. Got a slash on him because he did a bunch of damage at the end, but didn't really need to do much. And puts him out. At that point, it's pushing 12:30 this morning, and I know Subutai's player is wiped out, and he says he's going to call it. He needs to go. One of the players says, "Yeah, it's late for me too," and I'll say for all of us, right? And after they did this, there's some discussion. Okay, do we go through the double doors, or do we go out? And that's kind of where we stopped. Couple things that I'll bring up next time. These two guys they just fought, they had not seen before. So they know that there's at least that one fighter guy, bodyguard for the priest, and probably that priest too, that either escaped or are down here still. The temple area that they were in earlier with the curtains, they're essentially a whiter. There is a statue with the spirit that attacked a restaurant when she went up to, just whack on it kind of thing. So there's a spirit down there still they need to deal with. And then the two brutes escaped. Where did they come from? Who are they going to get? And how long will it take them to get back? Am I trying to push them out of this area? Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. We'll see. Anyway, happy gaming.